Welcome back to the Old World Paranormal Podcast, episode 75. We are 3/4 of the way to 100, and it's hard to believe that we started out our very first episode with Brandon Elvis and Mustafa Gadalari almost, 2 years ago now?
It's coming up on 2 years, yeah,
I
November.
mean, man, and we, if you think we've had some great guests already, today's guest is no different. And a lot of the guests that we have coming up in the future, I mean, we've got podcasts scheduled out for the next few months already. Just got another one the other day, another person from Ghost Hunters, and the first person that was on Ghost Hunters International. So that'd be interesting to talk about some of those locations that they visited in different countries. So it just keeps
Speak
getting better and better.
Speaking about ghost hunters, we have something interesting to talk about tonight with our guest.
You know what? That's actually in my notes here. I think it may have to do with that, maybe, possibly, perhaps. Um, but yeah, Nick and Gabby just got back from what I heard was a very interesting trip to Waverly Hills. Uh,
You're trying to call me out, aren't you?
I'm
Trying to
not. I
put,
was just
you're
saying
trying
it
to
was
push the
apparently a
push the
very
limits of
interesting
this,
trip.
huh? Yeah.
Nope, I'm not gonna have you say anything because yeah, we don't do that. Uh,
Yes, we
yeah.
do.
No, hey, if you want to say something, go ahead. I was just saying you guys had quite the adventure over there at Waverly Hills over the weekend.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta say anything, Nick. I'm
Oh
just
no, I'll put it this way, people. Um, First trip there. Any advice for you if you're going out paranormal investigating? And I did not know this heading down. I thought my cousin's team had rented it out for a private. Um, Never go on a public ghost hunt for one. It's just not worth it. You're not investigating. It's just running around doing nothing. The building's amazing. I love architecture and I love history. You know that. I mean, just seeing the building and getting to walk around and just literally touch the walls, touch the doors, and just to feel that. Tina's an amazing person. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Her staff that night, it was a shit show. Um, and I don't 100% agree. There's different ways to go about things. I don't agree with locking 60 people in a facility and alarming the doors. I, I,
that's kind
I,
of
I
absurd.
don't I don't agree with that. And then if you're gonna do that, designate one door and always have a staff member there just in case there's an emergency. The staff was nowhere to be found most of the night, and you know you're only letting people out at 2 and 4 in the morning, which is understand. Okay, everybody's gonna understand if you go at 2 and 4, you can get out of the building. No big deal. But if there's an emergency or somebody wants to leave for whatever reason, you're either just gonna go through the door, set the alarm off, cops come, the whole shebang, or you go and try to find a staff member. Well, again, staff was nowhere to be found, so it was
Right.
quite disappointed with that. But as far as paranormal investigating, Gabby and I did have a very we had two interesting sessions. Let's just say that. I did walk the body chute all the way down to the bottom of it. I did not feel creeped out at all. And actually didn't feel creeped out anywhere in that building. I felt rather comfortable walking around Waverly Hills.
That's
But
because you're a rather creepy guy.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
but other than that, it was a fun trip. It was great to see it. I checked it off the bucket list, and I got to see Paranormal Society of Savannah and their whole crew and my cousin. So there you go, Sean.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell. Well, moving on, since I'm surprised you actually talked about that, but that's okay. People need to know. People need to know about these places. You need to know the good. You need to know the bad. I mean, that's the way I
Yeah.
feel about it. Good experience, bad experience, should all be shared. So now you know. But moving on, today's guest, episode 75, is part of Paravision's Paranormal Society. He is part of the TAPS family. So we're kind of inching closer to what you were talking about there, Nick. Um, he has been on a couple episodes of A Haunting and I believe one episode I could be wrong, of Ghost Nation. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Lee Allen. Dude, that's
Thank
two.
you
You're
guys
not
for
French.
having me.
Hey, thanks
Well,
for being here, man.
Absolutely,
Thank you
man.
taking the time out.
What's up, Mr. Lee?
Just living life, right? And having fun doing it.
Living life among the dead.
That's right. That is right.
Lots to talk about tonight, Lee. I mean, you've had your hands on a lot of interesting things throughout your career.
Yep.
You have your hands on a lot of interesting haunted objects.
Yes.
So let's just
Good, because I want to talk about haunted objects.
yeah, Sean needs a couple haunted objects in his life.
No. Well, I'll tell you what. Are we going to start off on that topic? Because I'll kick it off.
No, I want to go back to the beginning. Let's
Okay.
go back to the beginning. We want to understand why Lee Allen, the second, decided to I don't know, venture in the paranormal field. Why the paranormal?
All right, you guys got your tissues? Because it's a serious one.
Only because my nose is running.
Growing up watching the scary movies, of course, one of the biggest ones, everybody's like The Exorcist. I remember when it came out, scared the shit out of me. But that wasn't what got me into paranormal at all. What really got me into paranormal was when my little boy was born. And that was August. He was born August 14th. His birthday's coming up. 1998. He was born with what they call hypoplastic left heart. Left side of his heart wasn't developed. He had to have a shunt put in, and he was on a ventilator. Well, that only lasted one night. My son passed away August 26th.
Oh, man.
September 13th. I was watching TV one night in my condo, and I saw this shadow come down my stairway. And what it was weird is it was about 2 foot tall, and it went in front of my big screen TV. The big plasma was the one that we had back in the day.
Yeah.
And it blocked the color and just evaporated as it went from left to right. So what the heck was that? So I jump up, turn the lights on, and looking around, nothing. I didn't know anything. I was like, okay, lights are staying on. So I'm watching TV, and I keep looking around, like into my dining room and everything. Nothing happened. A couple weeks later, it was a Saturday morning. And at this time, we did not open his nursery. So I was getting ready to go golfing, went in, shower. And as I was drying off, I could hear his baby mobile thing above his baby bed playing backwards. Back then, baby Looney Tunes. And I was like, what the hell? Walk out, go in, open the door slowly. I'm looking. If you look to the left, giving you guys an image, the bed's over there, that little thing's just rocking. It's like, what the hell is this? I go in, I'm standing there, I'm looking in his closet. We had it open. I just got that vibe like somebody's watching me. So I just walked back slowly, pulled the door, and I said, sorry, not today. Got dressed, met my friends, playing golf. They're like, dude, what's the matter? You see him? I was like, dude, I don't know how to even describe my last couple of weeks, but I got to share this.
Right.
So I explained. They're like, dude, what are you smoking or what are you drinking? And I'm like, nothing. I was a big car guru, man. I loved cars. I loved motorcycles. I've never been involved in paranormal. So it just fascinated me. I had to figure this out. So this guy that I knew, my wife at the time, my first wife, her friend says, hey, meet my husband. He's involved in a little bit in the paranormal. And so I'm talking to him about it, my stories. And he goes, wow, I don't know what to say. He says, at the time, he said, I'm more of a thrill seeker. I just like to go to these places. I like the history of the buildings. I'm not really the person to talk to. He goes, but there is on Yahoo, there was Yahoo meetup groups, and you could type in paranormal. That's what I wanted to focus on. Paranormal. It wasn't something about grieving for my kid. It was that. So I'm reaching out to these people, and this was a group that was around in Ohio called Majda, Majda. It was just a big organization group in Ohio that they would have like monthly meetings. They would plan these little investigations and all this cool shit. And so I met up with them talking about what I shared, seen. And they were like, wow. So went on a couple investigations with them. I wanted to see this stuff with my own eyes.
Right.
And my first big investigation I ever done was Moundsville Penitentiary. Here I am. My dad worked at a steel mill, had this big C battery flashlight, had this old little tiny camera with a little HP camera with a little screen, and I had a analog and a digital recorder. I still have them today, and I take that with me. We're there, and it was just crazy. We're in the sugar shack, and we're sitting in these two fold up chairs. Me and this guy that introduced me to that group, and we're talking, and I'm like, dude, I'm messing around. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, dude, if something touches me, I says, I'm running. It was that really, you're tired already, and you got that sound of that water heater over there, and it's warm, and I could just fall asleep. But something grabbed my pant leg on my my right leg, pulling it up. And he goes, what's going on? I was like, dude, I'm about to jump over you.
Yeah, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if there's a mouse or something on me. Yeah, because my full-time job is I'm a fire inspector. So I know buildings, I know the sounds. I'm like, dude, something is crawling on me. I said, if it gets past my knee, I says, I'm going to start swinging.
And you said you were in the sugar shack, right?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Well, hey, somebody's getting a little freaky.
Somebody wanted to get a little fresh.
Yeah.
So that was my first investigation. And then in 2000, we were pregnant with our daughter, and she was born. And nurse goes, oh no. They went to go check her temperature, of course, in the rectum. She had no rectum. Did an x-ray. It was there, but it didn't go through the skin. So she had what they call imperforated anus.
Wow.
So they put a colostomy bag on her and all that. And they said, we can't do nothing right now till she's a year old because of her being so little. And we're going to reconstruct everything. It's like, oh, great. So here we are, new parents with this baby. She was in the hospital she was born, they're both born on the 14th. He was born August 14th. She was born December 14th. And so we're like, okay, so we spent a lot of time at the hospital and NICU and all that stuff. And she came home January 4th, 2 days after my birthday. And she went through 53 surgeries, inpatient, outpatient. They reconstructed the rectum in May of 2005. They were like, she was getting a lot of urinary tract infections. So they were like, we're going to take 85% of her colon. Okay, because it's really bad. It'll grow with her. So when she's in school, we're going to teach her how to replace those bags. And I'm like, oh, here we go backwards instead of forward. So we just took it, and the good Lord put it in his hands, and she had surgery. She gets out on a Friday. She passed away Monday. She had sepsis in the bowels. So
holy shit, brother.
In between her and water. Yeah, thank you, man. In between her being born to the time she passed away, I was getting more depth into paranormal. And I think it was like a lot of therapy for me, because losing my son, plus her going through this stuff, is like helping others. So we did a lot of residentials. I mean,
yeah.
And one of the cool things is I was big in history in school. So I wanted to know more about, buildings around me. Plus doing my job. I've been doing my job since 96.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I says, I got connections to get in these places with what I do. And so I started reaching out to historical societies. And I want to share this with everybody listening. If you want to investigate something cool, this is the way to do it in your area. Go to your historical society. It's all volunteers. They're the only way they get paid to take care of the building is charity, donations, yard sales, bake sales, whatever they do. So I did to Waynesville. That's the one I still work with to today. And then it went to another city, and they liked it, to where I was it was 2005, before my daughter passed away. I was in Columbus at the corporate for the Historical Society for all counties. Paranormal's popping. It's hot. It's easy money. We don't charge a dime. We come in, we do these little public groups, investigations. We have the building to anytime we want, and money goes to them to help keep those buildings up. And it just, to where I was like, okay, I don't have time to go all over Ohio. So we stayed local, and it just blew up ever since. So I was building, in 2002, I started my team Paravisions. I was sitting at the dining room table, and I just came up with always keep looking into the unknown. That was my slogan. It's stuck. And so I started researching, on AOL dial up.
Old dial-up.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
looking and I'm like, okay, wait, there's a movie called Paravisions with S's. So I sit back and I'm writing this down and I'm like, how about changing those S's to Z's?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look, nothing. I was like, there it is. There's my name. It's been with me ever since 2002, February 14th, 2002.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I love doing what I do. It's 21 years now. So done a shitload of investigations, had a lot of fun helping people. After my daughter passed away, though, I was like, man, maybe this is not where I need to be.
Yeah.
And I talking to people and grew up Baptist, went to my same church, and my preacher, he's like, man, he was fascinated hearing stories and how I took care of them. Like you was bringing God into these people's homes. You're
Right.
taking them out of this darkness. I don't see why you need to leave. So I had a dream, man. It was like, okay, this is where I need to be. My kids are telling me this is where I need to be. So I'm going to do it. And then I got this phone call from back then it was called Paramount Kings Island, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
I get this call from this gentleman named Don Helbig. He was the park manager. Hey, we want you to investigate the park. Okay. What park? Kings Island. My jaw goes, duh, what? It's like, what? I was like, he goes, yeah. He says, can you come in for a meeting? So we scheduled a meeting. I go in, talking to him and a bunch of people. And we're sitting there across from each other. And I had 3 of my team members with me. So there's 4 of us. And he goes, I'm going to be honest. He goes, Ghost Hunters, the show came out. He goes, I want them in here. He says, I'm giving you 3 years. I said, you're giving me 3 years. He goes, yeah, you're going to investigate this park. The first week that it shuts down at the end of August, you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8:30 to 4:30 in the morning. The only people going to be in the park is 2 security guards, one in here watching cameras for the parking lot and one that patrols in a cruiser through the park. And you're going to have a key, a ring. You're going to have 2 sets of keys. You can split up. I want you got the full reign of the park, all the property, 372 acres. I'm like, what? He goes, we're going to make up paperwork. If you're interested, let me know. And he was being straight up. He goes, I want them in here. I want them to be part of this park. I was like, okay.
Wow.
You got a deal. We go in the next week. And this is at about this time in August. And this paperwork was like this. It's like, man, they must want our blood, everything. He goes, you can share anything that's on the internet, but whatever you get that is not, got to keep it hush hush or we'll sue you. I was like, okay. So, man, we were pumped and it was exciting the first 2 nights, but then, we all work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And then getting there at 8 o'clock and then going in there in the park was just amazing. So the first night, that's when I met my buddy Jim. That's on my team. He's my photographer. He's management there. He was sitting across from me. He's like, man, I can show you some places. I've been here since 96 or something like that, 7. And I was like, really? I was like, do you want to walk with us tonight? Heck yeah, I do. So he walks with us and I had him come back every night. And then it was phenomenal. I was like, we're in if you've been there, Whitewater Canyon, the water park.
Mm-hmm.
Tower 2, Liza Jane, or Missouri Jane. Little girl, they say security gets a lot. There's still today. Jim says that they still get a lot of reports of a little girl in a Sunday dress with 2 pigtails in the kiddie land and around the water rides, leaning over the gates like she's going to fall over. And so I was like, really? That's one of the stories. So he goes, yeah, and this is one of the hot spots, Tower 2. So next time you're in that ride, when you hit Tower 2 where they squirt you, people have seen her there a lot looking down, waving at you. They're like,
wow.
What the hell is a little kid doing waving at you? And so we're up there. We go up. It's like 16, 17 steps, go in, got that little tiny latch, lift up and down to lock the door. We open up the windows, the sides and the front. We're investigating. We hear boom, boom, up on the steps, like 2 steps. And then the door, someone held onto the door. Well, Jim's trying to open the door because it pushes out. We couldn't get it open. And I'm like trying to reach out with the camera on the side of those windows. I'm like, something is back there, dude. And he's freaking out because he wants to get the hell out of there. And I'm trying to capture this. He goes, "You're gonna fall." We're like high up in the air. I'm reaching around. I'm like, I gotta see what the hell this is. All of a sudden you hear it let go of the door, you hear a step, and I think there was 3 or 4, and then the gravel, and it took off. Door swung open. Jim's like, "I'm not going back in there again." It's like, it's like, okay. And I was like, he goes, "What was that?" I was like, I don't know, but I says, "If you're not going to go back in there, guess what we're going to do?" He goes, "What?" I was like, "There's 2 security guards in the park. I got a 2-way. My other team that's on the other side of the park has a 2-way. We're going to walk the woods. I'm going to find out what that was." "What?" I said, "Here we go. Let's go." So that was the
He go with you?
Yes, he did, but he was
He
standing
did?
way back. He was like, "I'll let you lead." He was just telling me which way to go. And I was like, "Jim, if I went this way, where am I going to end up at?" He'd say, "Oh, you're going to end up at the Beast." I'm like, "Okay, that's perfect," because we were right in that area.
Right.
So it was just phenomenal.
So did you end up getting a lot of incredible evidence for him?
Yeah, the second year, you remember the show Ghost Hunters Academy?
Yeah.
Eric Baldino, he was runner-up with Rosalind Bound.
Okay.
He lives in Wilmington, Ohio.
Gotcha.
I met him at an event and told him where I lived, became good buddies. Had him over at my house for an MMA fight. I said, "Hey, next week we're investigating Kings Island. I would like for you to come with us. You have to sign some paperwork if you're interested, get you in the park, show us some tips, techniques that you were doing on Ghost Hunters Academy." "Oh, absolutely." So we caught a lot of crazy shit with him. I'll tell you the places to check when you go in is the tower, 50-foot landing, about 9 o'clock at night when everybody's gathering up in that area for fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll see the security guard up there. Now you're not allowed to walk up there anymore, the 50-foot landing. It's locked because of what happened to him in the 90s, where it was skip day, senior skip day. Used to, you could walk up there.
Okay.
He goes up there and he gets on that landing and he jumps on top of the elevators. Well, those elevator wires killed him.
Oh,
They
shit.
say they see him jump off the front of the tower. They still have those cables wired up back there. Remember the old Lions Den, the Animal Kingdom thing they had?
Yeah.
Back there, rolled up. Did not take them off the park at all. Still there. Beer gardens. There was an accident. You can Google this. A guy was that little pond there by the Viking ship. There's electric currents under there. Signs all over. He was drunk. This was when you can drink anywhere in the park. And he jumped in that. Well, a security guard jumped in to save him. Security guard died. He was going to Wright State University at the time.
Jesus.
The drunk survived. So they say you can hear him dying in that water.
On where the pirate ship is?
Yep.
So I got an interesting story about that damn pirate ship.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me tell you a story. We'll get back to it. So when I was little, I don't even think I was 10, just tall enough to ride rides. Okay. So this is very long ago, and I was very skinny back then, Sean.
You're still just tall enough to ride rides now.
But the skinny part, yeah, I remember I was skinny that one day.
So that pirate ship star, I'm sitting next to my mom, and it's just a lap. Well, back then it was just a metal bar that came down over your lap.
And we survived, didn't we?
And that thing got up to that 90-degree angle on the side, and I started going out underneath the bar.
Oh, damn.
Like I was going to fly out of that thing. My mom grabs me by my arm. I'm like, I was so scared to death of roller coasters for the next 15 years because of that. But anyways, all right, go on.
Now I remember that's all it had is the bar would come down.
Yeah.
They didn't have nothing else to protect you in that. And that thing does go 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it gets going, buddy, it's going. So yeah, so that's another cool place. There's places all throughout there that you're not, the theater, the really cool place that I like the most is the International Garden, the restaurant, right? When you walk into the front of the park, they still have part of that up there, which they don't use it anymore. But when we were walking through there the first year, you remember when Brady Bunch did an episode there at Kings Island?
No.
Oh, yes. I'm 48. My bad.
No, I'm almost 43. I remember watching the Brady Bunch. I just don't remember that
Yeah,
episode.
they did an episode there. It was like in 71. They did right when it was 72, right around when the park opened. They still have it decorated for the Brady Bunch, still in these two rooms off to the side of the kitchen.
Huh.
And so it was like walking into a set of the Brady Bunch. And I'm like, holy shit. So we're in there, man. And I did not know any stories until we get down to the security, and they're opening up their security logbook, everybody reporting things. And this was from their cleaners, because they still clean it, because they rent out the front half that looks towards the fountain. It's all glass. They rent that out for businesses to come in and have their lunches.
Right.
And they were saying that there's a guy in the kitchen.
Okay.
Well, one of the members of my team went into the kitchen, and he's talking away, and we can hear him. So we go down and we come in on the other side. There's a couple swinging doors. We go in this way and we're like, who are you talking to, dude? And he turns, but he's looking the other way, but he turns to us and he goes, you better tell me I was just talking to you on the other end. I was like, we're all right here, bro. We were in those Brady Bunch rooms. I don't know who the hell you were talking to. My God. That dude says, and he's a big dude. He goes, I got to go outside. He said, I think I probably have to change my drawers. He goes, I swear to God, I thought I was talking to you. And the dude was just nodding away. And I said, did he say anything? He goes, no, but he was just like at the counter, like he was working. And he said, I thought it was you changing batteries in a camera or something. And dude just nodded. And I was like, so when we go back and hear the story about the guy that was cooking in there, they said that's where they would see him. Oh my God. He goes, oh my God, I saw a fucking ghost. He said, I'm talking to the dude.
And it's
like,
just
well,
nodded to him. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, I was like, well, why else that's what we're doing, right? That's why we're here, is to talk to these things, man. And
Yeah.
he goes, wow. He couldn't get out of his head for hours. He goes, shit. I said, do you want to go back up there and do a session by yourself? Hell no. Like, he may have more to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, he picked you out, buddy. Let's put you back in the kitchen
Right?
and see where this goes.
Yeah, so it was cool. So we did 3 years there, and then we went to Phenomenology Gettysburg, and a bunch of the Taps was there. And that's when I met all them. And we sat down after the Friday night, and we were talking about. They were like, "Dude, we waited till everybody walked away, and they was like, we were there. We signed agreements just like you did, but we couldn't focus on any of the stuff you did. They focused on, if you're on the train and you're going from the park to the water park, there's a fort. And behind that fort is the original farmhouse, which the last name's Hoff, Hoff. That was the Hoff's farm, 372 acres. Out in the far front corner parking lot is a little tree wooded area. That's the original cemetery of the Hoff family.
Okay.
When the family died, they gave that park the property to, they wanted it to give back to the community, but they were not allowed to take down the house and not remove the cemetery. So still today, you can go there, get on the train, the house still there. Talking to Jim about it, the house is owned by an employee, which was part of the Hoffs, but Kings Island owns the property around it. Now, isn't that weird?
That's weird. Interesting.
And the cemetery is still there. You can walk through it. There's Missouri Jane Little, her tombstone's there. It's just freaky as hell. So that's what they focused on when they did it was season 8, episode 11, Roller Coaster.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was talking to them all, man, and they're like, dude, we heard some of your EVPs, dude. And he goes, what the hell? He says, we wanted to focus on that so bad, but we weren't allowed. And I was like, I looked at him, bought him a beer, and I was like, well, guess what, guys? I says, we got one above you. And we became buddies ever since. And that's when we became part of TAPS. And I just love working with them. I mean, they send me some goofy cases to call. I'll call this person. I mean, that, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, that
So
it was an interesting that right there, and it opened up doors for a lot of things in Cincinnati. I
yeah.
did Bogarts, I did Taft Theater, I did Cincinnati Music Hall. I've done a lot of stuff in Ohio. I've got keys. Different cities throughout Ohio give me keys to their city. We
Wow.
were at,
Talking to a legend here, Sean.
I wished
I'm
we
pretty
were at
sure he just outdid the whole Gettysburg famous thing.
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
we
Yeah.
did Scarefest, and my friend Patrick that was on the team, Zach Bagans and Aaron Goodwin was walking by our booth. And this is when a city called Bellbrook. We did Bellbrook on lockdown, is what we called it.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, Zach. And Zach turns and looks, and I'm like, oh God, what are you gonna say? You're not up to no good, man. He
Right.
goes, you can lock down a building, but we can lock down a fucking city. And he said, here's the key. I was like, oh my God. And so when we had to go, I was like, we got to go in line. So we went up to their booth. We didn't have to get in line, but they came over, and Zach goes, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, no, we're not. I was like, here's pictures. Mayor gave us a key to the city. He wanted to hear stories about the town. It was pretty cool. But he says, man, I was like, yeah, don't listen to Patrick. I was like, it's like he's something else. But it was cool. We actually, when we got the key to the city, I met this guy named Brian Coffey, big millionaire. He's into Russian diamonds. One of his businesses. He works with Jay Leno. They will and deal in cars, motorcycles, army tanks, you name it.
Right.
He wanted me to investigate one of his locations in Bellbrook. And I was like, well, we are investigating locations for the city. You know, we're doing the old church. We're doing the government center, Macintosh Pub, the old pub across the street from the jail. I said, cemeteries. I said, we're spending a lot of time in this town. He goes, well, you're going to love my barn. Gave me the address. We went there. The front of the barn, what you see on the street, looks like a raggedy old barn. Pulled up to the side, it looks like something brand new. Pulled up to this door, he opens it up. I took my son with me, my stepson, and here he comes. I'm thinking this is a caretaker. He's got a flannel t-shirt on, old jeans, and mowing shoes. And he goes, hi, my name's Brian. And I'm like, hey, Brian. And I heard from one of the council people from that what he does. So I was like, man, he sure doesn't show it. We opened that door, man, and he's got cars on all walls, motorcycles. He had a Winston Churchill car. He had a JFK limousine that Marilyn Monroe had. He had some emperor car from another country. It was a Peerless, a 1910 Peerless wood. I mean, he had all this shit. Well, my son saw this little blue Ferrari sitting there, newer one. And I said, what's the story behind this, Brian? He goes, oh, this was owned by Charlie Sheen for 10 minutes. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. He pulls out of the Ferrari dealership in Los Angeles, goes down the street to a liquor store, gets a red Solo cup. The console in the middle sits real high. He said he set a cup up there, put wine in it, spilled it. Tried to wipe it down, it's sticky. Drove it back to the Ferrari dealership, said, I don't want this, I want another one. He said, me and Jay Leno got this in the deal. And he said, have a seat. So I sat in the driver's seat, and I'm like, it's pretty cool. He said, try to start it. And you put your thumb, you lift this thing up, put your thumb in it, and it reads your thumbprint. If it reads your thumbprint, the dash comes on. Then you push the button. He said, nothing, right? I was like, no. So we get out. I'm closing the door. He said, no, hold on. He gives me the key, the fob. He says, now sit back down. I'm going to program your thumb. And I was like, okay, I wanted to see. I thought he was just going to show me. So
Right.
he tells me to hold on to that key. He programmed it, fired it up, man. Big V12. This thing sounded mean. And he goes, it was weird color. It was like a brownish red interior and a blue color outside. It was the ugliest thing I ever seen. Sounded sweet. And he stayed with us for a while. Then he goes, you guys have access. I'm going to give you the code to the building. I mean, they have Nazi cars there that they had to paint to bring back into the United States. They couldn't have them with all of the symbols.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, here's your key fob back. He goes, no, you park your Fusion in and drive that home. And then tomorrow come back and give me my reveal. It's like, oh no. My son, yes, we'll drive. I was like, no, we're not. So I gave him that because like we're not driving this Ferrari back to the house. When I opened the garage door at 4 a.m, and your mom hears it loud, I was like, no.
Right.
That was fun. So we had a really cool time with that guy. And but when we did the city thing, he had actually one of Aaron Spelling's limousines, and the councilman is his best friend. So he dressed up because green, of course, is my color. So he had a black suit on with a green tie, and picked us up at the Bellbrook High School in the Aaron Spelling's limousine. And we drove to the city, had a big parade. It was just crazy. I was like, this is too unreal, man. It's just too much fun.
Yeah, Sean, you don't have anything like that, buddy. Nothing.
I don't think I've ever sat in a Ferrari, to be honest.
You know what? To me, it was. I'm more into American muscle.
Yeah.
More that there's some foreign cars I like, but it wasn't for me. My son, he loved it because he's studying. He's getting his master's degree right now in Austria, so he loves it. So, but yeah, it was just some of the cool things. I don't share a lot of those little things. I was like, yeah, we did it. We did it.
So you eventually got ghost hunters to come to Kings Island.
Yep, we got them to come because they needed proof that there was actually really stuff there. And every night we investigated, we got some kind of experience, and we documented everything. I mean, we had cameras beyond cameras. We got shadows. We've got cameras with, we were using K2s, and I use a K2, and I went to Harbor Freight, and you can buy this little thing called an RF detector.
Mm-hmm.
$14. People use it in their house for their ovens and all that shit. Being a fire guy, I was like, you know what? If we're going to use a K2, there's all kinds of radio frequency. That's not going to let it know. This little RF detector will make a noise and it'll light up. So we Velcro them to all of our K2s. That goes off. We know it. If we know it's not anything, don't worry about it. If the K2 is going off by itself and that's not going off, then okay, let's turn and focus on this K2.
Yeah.
So that's just
I
a
like
little thing. We just think outside the box. Like, what can we do? People, so we got, when we were doing that, our camera, a lady that worked there in security, it was like the second year she came. She wanted to be part of it. She said, man, you guys got some crazy stuff last year. And I was like, yeah, come on out. I told Don, I said, if any of your employees want to come and share stories, I'd like to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you. I was like, because they're not going to share everything. You don't know everything that goes on unless you ask, and you don't know who's doing it. So he put a thing out to all employees. If you want to come out, spend a couple hours with these guys and gals. She was videoing it, and we were in the beer gardens, and another lady was just getting emotional from the boy that died, the drunk accident, and the camera stretches as the K2's going off, and she's on the K2. We got it on top of a rail, and it stretches, and the audio in it, you can hear splashing. And I'm like, there was no splash, and there was no cranes, because they have a lot of cranes that fly in there. There wasn't nothing. I'm like, okay, goosebumps. I'm still getting to thinking about it. I'm like, damn.
Wow.
And I'm like, this was back when didn't really have the technology stuff like we do now.
Yeah.
Just cameras, I would go on eBay and buy all the Sony handy cams I could buy, and tripods, and just batteries beyond batteries. $20.
The K2 started it, and revolutionized something different in the paranormal. And if it wasn't for, the start of the K2 leading up to hundreds and hundreds of other kinds of equipment to interact,
and to open up people to open their minds to build us new things, like we were talking about, that's what we need. We need to work together, put the egos away. If we work together and move forward, we can get farther. But there's always something that wants to screw it up, and I'm like, I don't get it.
That's a whole nother.
I mean, right now we had COVID going on. We've got all this stuff and then in the middle of this mix, your government is saying, leaking out alien footages and all this shit. And it's like, I caught on to that when COVID. I'm like, did you see that on? I was like, No way. I'm like, I don't get this. And I'm fascinated with it. I've never really done any investigating it, but fascinating, like, because it's a story. It's something to bring up. It's something to talk about.
My first thought is in the last couple of years of them starting to, bring out testimonies and everything else, and now with the big case that was about 2 weeks ago, the testifying in front of Congress and the whistleblowers, and now the government's like, yeah, aliens are real and blah blah blah. My first thought is, okay, what are you distracting us with? It's got to be something.
When they do that and they focus you on something, they're doing something behind your back.
Yeah. So what major thing are you about to shove up our asshole that you're trying to do right now when you finally, after almost 85 years of denying it,
right?
When the public knows the shit's real.
Absolutely.
And, and you come out with it and the whole United States public's like, okay. Can we see Jeffrey Epstein's list?
Yeah, right.
Can we see some more stuff on Hunter Biden? I mean, what are you really trying to fucking hide here?
I know, like that. Who gives a shit? But they were distracting us.
Yeah.
And right now, the big distraction right now in Ohio is a big distraction is vote no on issue 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're hiding something. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep your eyes open. I was like, anytime they do shit like that, in the COVID, and I didn't want to get any shots, but doing what I do, and I go into healthcare facilities, and I remember walking into this healthcare facility one morning to do a walkthrough and a fire inspection. And there was this woman sitting there, and I'm signing in, doing my temperature. And she said, son, and I turned, and I didn't have my mask on. I had it under here. And I turned, and she said, do you have your mask? And I'm like, I'm thinking she's sick. So I put it up. She was waiting on the bus to come to take her to her errands. She goes, and then she just breaks down and tells me a story. And as I'm listening to that, I'm like, you know what? That's someone's mother. That's someone's grandmother.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in these facilities all the time. Yes, I broke down. I did the Pfizer shots. Then I heard just recently that through a grapevine, I was like, they're saying a theory is that there's going to start being side effects within 5 years of having those booster shots in your system. I'm like, really? All right. Yeah. I got them both. Probably glow in the dark here soon. Won't need flashlight.
Yeah, I'll be glowing with you, brother. But I got it for different reasons. I got it because I really wanted to go on a cruise.
There you go. Hey, and they were making it hard for us to do things.
Yeah.
Because they saw that right away. Everybody in the population wasn't getting it because it was still all new to us. And they were pushing it. And that's why it kept me away. I'm like, no, I don't want this. And I've got friends, I've got family that never did it. But that lady just touched me, man, because I was like, you know what? No.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I can. I just had to go with it. Went to Walgreens and they were like, you ready? And I'm like, oh God. Like, yeah, let's get it over with. Strap me on.
Yeah, we'll see. So, let's tie back to the whole ghost hunters thing, and let's talk a little bit more about that, then we'll move on. But that led to a lot more opportunities to obviously work with taps and ghost hunters. You got another buddy's location. You got them to film there on what, Ghost Nation, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the one I was just telling you about, the Catholic Church, Buckeye Church.
And you worked with them for a little bit, correct?
Yep, sure did. And so it's good. It's good to network. We all have our own ideas of things we want to do. I'm not done. I am working right now, and it's not a secret. I'm working with a production company in Wells. Yeah. I've got 3 ideas of shows out there. I've even got Jason Hall's. Granted, he's like, dude, that's it. And I'm like, he says, go with it. You've got a story. Your story is not like everyone else's, where people grew up into the field or into the mediumship or psychic. Yours is because you've lost kids, and this thing came to you. Yeah, so it's in the works, but I don't know. Just take every day, one day at a time, and because go ahead.
We got the opportunity to meet Jason and Sherry, and then his daughter or Satori and Cody. We had them up for an event, and I was just blown away by Jason.
Really down to earth guy.
Down to earth guy. You
Mhm.
know, he was amazing. It was a very chaotic weekend, and we made it smooth for them. They had a blast, and they, look forward to coming back. And I told them, I said, this isn't about you wanting you to come film here. We wanted you to come here and have an event. You know,
Yep.
be with people, and
People that really, love what they do.
and gave me a big hug at the end. He supported me. He wrote down his phone number. He's like, give me a call. And I'm like, I looked at everybody else. I was like, Jason Hall's just gave me his fucking phone number. This is
Na 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 na
what's
na.
happened. No, awesome person. And
He is. He's a great dude. I remember when we pulled in the first day on the set at my buddy's shop. I got there, production van pulled in, 2 SUVs pulled in, and this Compass Jeep pulled in. And first one was Jason. He jumps out and he comes up, hugs me, and he says, "Let's take a walk." We walk down this alley. He says, "I'm gonna be straight up with you." He goes, if any of these producers try to tell you to say something in a different twist and it's not
Yeah.
true, come to me. I'm gonna send their asses back home. Straight up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And he goes, every day we would meet, he would say that. He's like, because I don't want my show to be that way.
Right.
And I'm like, that's just amazing. And now the Jeep Compass, that was Steve, because Steve don't fly. So Steve drives
Right.
across
Yep,
the country.
yep.
And poor Dave drove with him. And Dave gets out of the car and he's like, oh my God, what a drive. And that was that episode that we did, season 2, episode 2. That was the first one that Sherry came back, was at that place. The second night she showed up. And yeah, it was cool. Me and her had a lot of great times in the basement, where the little boy, if you watch the show, we captured the little boy. I heard something go around us, and she goes, "What the hell is that?" And there was a cameraman on the steps looking into the room we were.
Mhm.
And he shot up them damn steps and about tore up our REM pods and shit. And I'm like, whoa. He goes, "What the hell?" And then Jason said the next morning, he said, "We were going over that section because we're upstairs watching you guys and the cameras, because we had a camera set up there." He goes, "Dude, are you an empath?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Because you heard it before the cameras did. Then our cameras picked it up." And he said, "Now let me take you over to the guy that was standing on the steps." He comes over that morning. He goes, "The same sound you said came around you guys up the steps, and it said it right in my ear as it went by." It's like, no
Whoa.
shit. I was like,
Whoa. That's
yeah, he
cool.
goes, "I had
That's
to
cool.
get the hell out of there, man. I had to get fresh air." I was like,
Nobody ever thinks about the cameramans on these shows.
no, they don't.
It's just
They're just there to do their job. It's just like another day
Yeah.
in the office.
you're sitting there watching the TV show, and you got two investigators, and they're filming in the dark, and they're all like, "Holy shit, what was that? Oh my God." And the camera's just sitting there filming. I'm like, you always think like, what the hell is that cameraman thinking right now?
I
You
know,
know?
right?
You know?
Yeah, especially he's back here. She's back here with boom audio. You got a cameraman, you got a light guy. You got 4 or 5 guys behind that one camera that you're looking at on TV
Yeah.
to make this a cool set. And yeah, and it's like, okay, that basement's not that big. So when we got started, I was like, "Guys, how many of you going to go in the basement with us?" And it was just that guy, because
Yeah.
they had static cam set up, and then him with the live one, and he they couldn't use his footage because he shot out there. So they had to use the static cam of us looking down in there.
You got shit going on in the room, and the camera guy's getting anal probed, and he can't move.
No, and he's eyes.
Can't say
Ooh,
anything.
ooh, ooh.
He can't say nothing. He can't move.
He can't do nothing. He can't move, and you're like, "Man, why isn't he not moving out of my way?" But I've heard like some really cool setups, like with the boom audio. They got that big pack, and they're holding the battery, and they got the microphone. When that thing moves, it takes a lot of movement, a lot of energy to move that. And when I saw one guy, actually, it swung this way, and he kept his kosher, and then he's calm, and he comes and says, "Can I tell you guys something?" And we're like, "Yeah." He goes, I think I shit my pants, but he says back there, he goes, that battery went this way up high and I didn't want to interrupt. I was like, why didn't you? And he was real
Right,
funny
right,
about it.
right.
He was a student from one of the colleges that they hired to get him some credits. And I'm like, that's what we want.
Right. That would have been epic for TV. And he's this little
Yeah.
this young kid's over here shitting his pants because his equipment's flying around him.
And he was thinking to himself, he says, I was thinking to myself, what did I sign up for? What did I sign up? He said the whole time through that night, I prayed after that. I was like, I was like, are you kidding? I was like, he goes, oh yeah. He said, oh yeah. It was
That
just
was
fun.
that was the beginning and the end of his paranormal career.
I guarantee you he will not do another paranormal show.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
probably doing broadcasting or something, but not that. He's on
He's
TBN.
He's on the Wheel of Fortune show or something. He's a
There you go.
cameraman there. And well, I tell you what, you've had a very interesting ride. You've
Yeah.
been very, very lucky, and
I've been blessed.
Blessed is the word, and opportunities, and you've taken advantage of it, and you're trying to progress the field forward, and your team, and yourself, and help people along the way, and it's refreshing to hear you say that, and to listen to your stories, because yeah, unfortunately, most people that would have walked in Lee's shoes, their heads would be so fucking big right now.
Oh,
Well, I've done
absolutely.
this and I'm
I've
this.
done this.
and-
I've done that. I've seen it. You set up a booth somewhere and their banners got more shit than your face. I've done Roku. Well, that's good. I've done this. I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for, though.
Right.
If I wanted to do that, I would have went back to school and got into acting and stuff. But I want to help people. I want to figure out the science of paranormal. I want to know what causes EMF to go off. I want to know, the body's the best tool. People ask me when I do my ghost classes, what's the best piece of equipment I can buy? And they're ready to write it down or put it in their phone. I was like, put that down. You're the best.
Body, it's yourself. Yes.
It's like, what do you do when you go to Kings Island? You're pumped, right? You're scared, but your friends are there and they're egging you on. You're terrified to get on that big roller coaster, but you're there and your gut is messing with you and you're pumped. And then when that gate opens, it's your time to get in and get seatbelted in. And you're like, oh, damn, there's no turning down now. I got to go.
Yeah.
I was like, the body's the best tool. Because when I investigate, I like to wear shorts and t-shirt. I get more feel. My empath opened up when I went to Mansfield in 2011. And, people that investigate, more time you're in it, you're as soon as lights out, our ears get in tune. Like, boom. We know the sound of the room. We know all the people around us. We know what's going on, but we know those sounds. And when people that don't do this, or they're fascinated or they're thrill seekers, they're like, how the hell did you hear that? Because sit and investigate an investigation 6 to 8 hours a night, get pumped, go home, get your recorders out, get your cameras out. I'm going over that shit before I go to bed. So your ears get more tuned. And I'm like, that's what happens. I was like, boom. And going there, man, we did I forget, it was an event. And they asked me I was the only team. Now, all these people was at this event. I was the only team that brought equipment.
Interesting.
And so they had us in the library, the showers, all that right there in that far corner in the east cell block. And we had the east cell block. So hell, we would break up in groups, different areas. And they had celebrities there, but they didn't have no equipment. So every group that would come to us would be like, oh, you've got the stuff that the people that I was just with didn't have, but I watch them use it on TV.
Right.
So what do you mean? So when we take a break and everybody eats pizza, I'm talking to everybody that's there and I'm like, none of you assholes brought any equipment? And they're like, no. And I'm like, we're the only ones?
Wow.
So we switched and we went downstairs. And we were in the administration basement. Had
Gotcha.
one more little area to look at. And you walked in this little cell area and you had to make immediate left. And as I go in on the first one, and Jim's videoing, there's two people in front of between us, and there's more behind him. whoa, I stop and I'm like, whoa, put my hands up. And I'm like, Scott Sokol used to run that. I was like, he's punking me right now. And Jim goes, what do you mean? I said, you guys don't see that dude standing here in the corner? He's like 6'5". He's got black glasses like what I'm wearing now. He's got a gray jumpsuit. I read the inmate number.
Holy crap.
I read it had high bottoms, white socks, black dress shoes. I was like, Jim says, I'm recording this. I was like, but you don't see it. And he goes, I don't. So I grabbed the camera. I put it in front of me. I seen it. He didn't. The girls in the middle didn't see it. And I'm like, what? I was like, so then I'm walking towards him a little bit and he turns and looks at us. And then he walks into this room and there's a light on. And I said, do you see the room with the light? And he goes, yeah, I see that. And as I get close to the door, Jim all of a sudden goes, I see a shadow swinging. I walk in and I run right into the dude. And I said, I explained everything I saw. This guy, after that, I said, he hung himself. This was, I don't know why he's down in this area. And so we take a break and Scott comes down. We're out back and he goes, what's going on? I was like, dude, you got to look up an inmate number. And I said, here, Jim, rewind it. And he goes, oh, I will. So he gave me a 2-way and he goes, I'll get with you guys in a bit. So everywhere we went through that night, that guy was following me. Well, all of a sudden the 2-way goes off. Scott says, hey, come to my office. That's all he said. I take off. I'm walking through the administration side, the warden's quarters. I'm describing what the walls look like, green wallpaper up and this brass wall up about 5 foot tall, then this green wallpaper to the ceiling. I'm telling Jim everything. I go right to Scott's office, open the door, and Scott goes, how did you know where my office was? This guy, he was in front of me. He was taking me to his office. And he goes, sit down. He gives me a bottled water. He throws this manila folder on my lap. He sits back and he puts his hand. Have you ever met Scott?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'd have to see a picture of him.
Yeah, he used to run the Mansfield. Sat back and he goes, go ahead and open that. Jim's video. Open it up. Stephen Edwards. I was like, oh, wow. He said, next page, picture. It's like, oh, shit. That's him. And he said, yeah, read that. So I read the article. He was there from 1955 to 1957 for petty theft. Okay. Back in the 50s, the state of Ohio was allowed to get rid of 25 inmates a year. He was one of them. They put him, there's 3 sweat boxes in Mansville. What it is, a sweat box is they give you these like rope, anything you to kill yourself. They don't feed you for days. To eventually it's into your mind, you'll just hang yourself. There's 3 nooses above the cafeteria. If you go into the church area and go to the left and you walk down that big air duct room, there's a walkway around there. You can see the 3 nooses he showed me. That's 1. And there's 2 in the different areas of the basement. And that one where that guy showed himself to me, that was number 3. And what they did is they took his body, they took him out back a little farther away from the building, laid him on his stomach, shot him in the back 3 times. They told his family that he tried to escape and they had to put him down because they did not have the funds to take care of it. That was some fucked up shit. And ever since my ability just been fired up. I'm like, I don't get
petty theft.
For petty theft.
For petty theft. Why don't you just let him go? And release him.
You saw those cells. You've been there, right?
Yeah.
2 bunk beds, 3 guys.
Wow. I have not heard that story. Have you? You haven't heard that, have you, Sean?
No, I have not.
Yeah. Chip Coffey picked that up when he was there. I don't remember what show he was on when he done it. But Scott said that. Scott said it. Me and him was the only ones that ever picked this guy up. And so Scott was there for a while and then we went back and I said, hey, has anyone ever picked him up again? And they're like, no. I said, so maybe him showing me around and investigate. He took me up to where, like, in the warden's quarters, that room with all those little benches along the wall, they would sit him in there and that's where they would give them their sentence of what they're going to do. So this guy was right there in another room listening to what was going to happen to this guy with his own ears.
Jesus.
And he showed me everything that happened to him, and I think that him sharing his story to me was closure for him.
Yeah.
Because it was an emotional investigation for me. And Scott goes, "Holy shit, dude." And he says, you went around this whole area and you didn't know where the hell you were. I was like, no. I said, you can get lost in this building. I didn't know where your office was. I didn't know you had an office on the second floor in the middle of the building. I went and grabbed the door. You were there. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know,
Yeah.
like when I was at Waverly Hills, we were setting up cameras. I'm on the third floor. And we had all the cameras, the cases set, and I'm putting tripods, I'm putting them together so we can throw the cords out the back because we had a generator. I'm talking to this guy thinking it was one of my buddies.
Yeah.
And then the two-way goes off and he's like, "Hey, are you going to throw the cord out?" And I was like, "How the hell did you get downstairs so fast?" He goes, "I never went up with you." And, you know, trying to put a camera together so fast as my heart was like, "Oh my God, someone's over here with me." I was like, "I'm going to die."
Wow, man. I was not expecting all this from you, Lee.
Oh man,
Holy
I got
crap.
stories, buddy.
Yeah,
Well, you know
stories.
what? That margarita.
Yeah. It just lets it flow. I mean,
It lets it flow, man. I could talk for hours on the pair of cheers. I'm right down the street from Miller Brewery, right
Are
here
you?
in my hometown, Trenton. Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, there's just so much I've seen, I've done. Like you said, you know, I've been blessed, I've been honored, it's been great meeting new people. I love meeting new people. I'm a big networker. I love helping any way I can. I love investigating with people, learning their techniques, you know,
You're
what
still out doing residentials?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Not as many as we have done
Yeah.
with COVID and stuff, but we're still doing it. We're still helping people, mainly a lot of preliminaries
Yeah.
and figuring it out before we have to investigate.
Yeah.
You still have that 1% of people that like, "Well, I want my house haunted," or when you go there to investigate it, they've got one of the shows on, Ghost Adventures, Portals to Hell, and I'm like, "Oh," and then they want to have a party. They invite their friends over, and I'm
And
like,
by 20 people while you're trying to investigate.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "We're done."
Yeah.
You know, I follow the Taps family. I got to follow guidelines. Sorry, I cannot do this. This
Yeah.
isn't. You called me in. They know now what triggers those types of people, and what triggers one of the big things with Taps family. What triggers it is if there's kids involved. That's our go-tos. Except for back about 4 months ago, if my wife was up here, she'd be rolling. What Jason had sent me one night. So
Yeah.
sent me a case in Cincinnati for a guy. He says, "Oh, you got to call this guy right now." It's about 12:30 in the morning. I was like, "Did you talk to him?" "Oh yeah, I just got off the phone with him. You'll enjoy this." Called him up. "Yeah," he says, "I'm an engineer." And I'm thinking, okay, when he introduces himself, he said his name and he's an engineer. And I'm like, okay, this guy's drinking.
Yeah.
I said, "So what's going on in the home?" He goes, "It's my mother." He says, I said, "So what's going on?" He goes, "My toe's haunted by my mother." I said, "Your toe?" "Yeah, my left toe, my left big toe.
His
It's
left
haunted."
toe.
Yep, haunted by
Okay.
his mother. He said
Okay.
every time he gets ready to go to bed, he feels that toe. And he said, "You know, when you would hug mom when you're little, you'd feel that warmth." He said, "It goes all the way up my body." He's describing this. He's going, I'm like, "Dude, I don't need to hear this." So I was like, "So what are you wanting?" You know, I
Yeah.
said, "It's a fascinating story." And I'm trying to be professional with the guy. He goes, "I really want to share my story on TV." I was like, "But I'm not putting my name." To myself, I'm thinking, "I'm not putting my name or their name on this." I said, "I'll have to get back with you." I said, I think this is outside of our guidelines, man." I says, "We investigate buildings, what stuff that's going on around you, not something like that. If I have to get a priest or someone involved, I'll call them."
Right.
And
Right.
then I called him back. I said, "You're an asshole, man." I was like, he's wrong. He's like, "That was a test." I was like, "But the guy was for real." And the guy worked at Procter and Gamble. Imagine that. You fucking get kidding me, man? I was like, some of these people's got some balls to just and just hearing him, I know he drinks. I know he's probably smoking something.
Right.
But it's like you get those people, and and I try to tell people you got to watch when you go out to these homes, man. Don't go alone.
Yeah.
Do a preliminary. They don't know you. You don't know them. You don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what's in that basement. You may not come out of that basement.
So what do you think about teams? Because this blows my mind. What do you think about teams when you meet a team? You're like, hey, you guys do residential cases. And they're like, oh no, we don't touch those. We don't want anything to do with those. That's just it's too much work, and we don't want to screw things up or make it worse or this or that. And I'm thinking, my first thought, and I
Yeah.
just say it in my head. My first thought is, then why are you out there like promoting yourself as a paranormal investigator?
Because you should be considering yourself as a thrill seeker if you're just going into these buildings and getting charged.
Correct. You
Because they already know what's going on in their building. They're
you're
telling you
going to a
in these-
building that's been documented hundreds or thousands of times of hauntings.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
going there just to pay to play.
That's right. That's all it is. Plug and play. To where
So,
these residentials is the real deal.
yeah,
Because they're dealing with everyday stress, finances, burdens, children, pregnancies, losing families. They're the ones grabbing this stuff that they're bringing into their home. That's the ones I want to help.
right.
These guys that's getting their pockets lined with money, they already know their story.
Correct.
They're fun. We go to a few a year. They're fun. May get called out and say, hey, we want your opinion, but okay, but my focus is on the residentials because I got to help this person.
Right.
They're if they don't have a priest or a preacher, whatever their religion is, always I tell people when I go out and do residentials, I think I'm more of a counselor than I am a paranormal investigator.
Reach. He's gonna
My
say
wife,
it.
my
Let's go.
wife's big. My wife's big into like, what's the medicines are you on? You're on prescriptions, right? Have you
Yep.
ever looked up the side effects?
Yep.
And she picks that out big time. Well, the side effect is this and this hallucination and stuff.
Mhm.
We're and I got to be serious with them. I'm like, okay, guys, we have our own lives. We've got our families that we're taken away from to come and help a stranger.
Yeah.
You got to be serious with me.
No, don't waste my fucking time.
Don't waste my time. I'm not charging you. There's teams out there that will charge you. And there are teams out there that will make you leave in your home and let them invest. No, hell no.
Right.
I will not do that. I mean, there for years when I did
Well, hold on, Lee. Think about this, okay? You're going into somebody's house that has had so much trouble that they eventually got the balls or the nerve to call somebody they don't know
Mhm.
that is a paranormal investigator to come help you out.
Yep.
So you come into these people's homes, okay? And you sit there and you talk to them on the phone, you did your first thing, you started doing a little research on the property, you get there, you interview them again. And we like to call this paratherapy.
Yep.
Because the first thing I say, I'm going to sit down with these people and be like, this is going to get really personal. I'm going to ask you some really fucked up questions.
Yeah.
And they're like, give you the look like, why? I said, because everything plays into everything, and the beginning, I always had to investigate. But the more through the years, I'm like, if I already got to the certain point where I think I know what I'm dealing with, I'm not going to investigate.
Why would you keep doing it, right? You already know.
I'm just gonna fix the problem and just do what I need to do.
Wipe your hands and walk away.
But the homeowners are the one that's being affected.
Yep.
So in a sense, all these family members are your trigger objects.
That's right.
You're not being haunted by this house or affected by this house or afflicted by this house or, anything like that. These people are.
Yep.
So you might as well have them there while you investigate.
Absolutely.
Look, and guys, and Lee will probably back this up. You don't need to go to these people's house at 9 to 10 o'clock at night to investigate all night through the dark.
Absolutely. You can do it
They-
early in the day.
They live there.
It's their
They-
daily.
Okay. So let's be smart about this. You know, you're going there to help people, not put a YouTube video on.
Not
Right.
wearing my black
So-
t-shirt, flexing.
Whatever timetable, whatever it takes for these families that you're committing to helping, then do that.
That's right. You got to have a goal. Just don't, and it's like and this is a big thing, and it's hard for a lot of people. If you don't know the answer, tell them you don't know the answer and you'll get the answer. Because
Right.
that's where in the paranormal community, that's where we need to grow, is helping each other. So, and this, it's hard for a lot of people to put out on Facebook, social media, hey, I've got this case.
Yep.
And you guys give me because we know what's coming when we do that. It's
Yes.
called negativity.
Yes.
And that's what burns me up. It's like everybody puts something out there, and the first thing people say is, I wasn't there. What? How do I know this is real?
Right.
Because as soon as you put it on social media, the negativity starts.
Yep.
And it kills your, like, oh, you're excited, then all of a sudden you're reading all this stuff, and to the point where you just want to go delete post.
Yep.
You just
It
work
shouldn't
hard.
be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
No, it should not. It should be like you did that. I'd be like, Nick, that is awesome. Can you share that story? I want to hear the story. I want
Right.
to because I'm fascinated hearing people's stories.
Yep.
I'm like, I want to hear more. So if I did that to you, then that just, guess what? We connected. We're growing this community. I hear para-unity all the time, and I just go, that's my opinion. Para-unity. Really? Because half of the people that do this para-unity are the ones that's also backstabbing people.
Monday's para-unity. Tuesday, it's negative post and drama of you didn't like somebody's post or they said something, and now you're posting, I'm not about the drama. I don't do this and I don't do that. But yet you just posting that is feeding into it.
Absolutely.
Let it go. Let it go.
You just fueled a fire that did not need any fuel. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then it's like when they're investigating, it's like, oh, we know so and so was here, but let's see if we can do better.
Right.
And I'm like, really? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I just crack up. I'm like, okay, we're looking at things totally different.
Look at the opportunities that we've had, doing paranormal classes, paranormal kids classes, trying to teach the future, the right way to do it. And, hoping that we'll be able to get that platform to do it again soon. But it saddens me that there are some close friends of mine lately that have just quit the field altogether because they can't handle all the bullshit and the negativity and the me, the demon, blah, blah, blah shit that's all around the paranormal, and it's sad because they're good investigators.
Oh, absolutely. Really good. And I hate to see people, especially, I'm like, you quit. Why? Just because you live your life because of this person?
Yeah.
God created you different, just like he created Nick. He created you, Sean, me, everybody. We're all different. Do you, boo-boo.
And I and you can back this up. Look, nobody's an expert and everybody does things
Absolutely
differently.
not.
And I absolutely love that. I love collabing with other teams and just sitting back and like seeing what they're doing. And I've learned so much.
Yeah.
Other people, I'm like, whoa, that's cool, man. I never thought of that. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Then there's some people that they'll see somebody do something and they'll say the same thing. That's cool. And they try to mimic it. Then those people get pissed. Well, they're stealing my ideas. Come on, bro. Just feel the flattered. Just be flattered and move on.
Exactly. Just be like, okay, but then then that's the thing. They're stealing my ideas. But instead of taking it that way, take it as get a hold of that person and say, hey, I've came up with an idea as well that you're going with. Let's collaborate and let's tweak it instead of bashing each other. Think how
Right.
far we could be.
But that
Right
means
now.
that they'd have to share.
Yeah. And then they're, yeah, that, and they don't want to do that. They don't
Heaven
want to share.
forbid we share things.
Right. It's like, no, this is my equipment. This is my idea. Well, you better trademark it. You better go get you a domain name on
Right.
it. Oh, it's just, I just can't get into that. I just shake my head and move on.
So you're also avid collector of haunted objects.
Yes, man.
You know,
This just
Sean's
started.
been waiting a good hour and 15 minutes to talk about this. So
Yes, yes.
this is something that me and Sean we talk about this quite often, because he's like, I don't understand why or how objects could be haunted.
Well, I just
Nice.
don't think that an object can. Well, okay.
Go ahead,
Go
Sean.
ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I'll just finish it up. And I always say that, look, it's not haunted per se. It has an
It
attachment.
has a different energy to it.
So yeah, I'll let Sean lead with this, because this
Yeah.
is one for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, haunted is that the word is a matter of opinion. Okay, everybody's going to have their own definition as what it means. So when it comes to objects, I don't believe that a spirit is going to make its home inside of an object, whatever that object may be. Now, I believe that energy can be inside of an object, but I think there's got to be certain circumstances. Like the example that I always make, there's two examples. One, let's say there's a little boy that has a teddy bear, and this teddy bear goes everywhere that this kid goes. It goes to the store, goes in the car, goes to bed. It's with him 24 hours a day. Eventually, this child passes away, and whether it's as a child or as an adult, the attachment to that item is still there. That energy, some of that energy will remain with that item. The other instance would be same situation, but let's say that this child or this adult passes away in a traumatic incident. Okay. Maybe the same amount or more energy still remains with that object. But I don't believe that that energy in that object is intelligent by any means. I think it is just an energy that's been absorbed into this object, and it can be felt by people. I don't think that a quote unquote haunted object is capable of making things move. I don't think a doll can talk. Annabelle, I believe, is just a doll. I would hug the doll. I would kiss her on her cheek. And maybe she needs that. Who knows?
Maybe she does.
Yeah. But
She
I
just
mean,
needs some
honestly,
loving,
that's
man.
a legitimate thing. Maybe she needs a hug. Maybe
Yeah.
this energy is tired of being handled with oven mitts or whatever they use to take her out of there when they. I mean, if you've seen the video,
Similar,
that's basically
yeah.
what they're using.
Yeah, they're pulling around.
So I don't think, and I believe that energy can be added to. Annabelle's a perfect example of that. People that go to the Warrens Museum to see Annabelle, they've seen the movies, they know the stories behind Annabelle, and they take that, even if it's a little bit, they take a little bit of that fear and that dread into that room with them. And when they're looking at Annabelle, where do you think that's going? It's going right into that object. So like I said, I think you can add to the energy, but I don't think there's a point where that energy explodes and causes pots and pans to fly across the kitchen. I just don't think that energy is intelligent. I don't think it's sentient. I think it just exists as a remnant of the energy of the person who was attached to that object.
I agree with you. I really do.
And that's just my opinion. I could be way
No,
off.
I agree. We're
You have valid points, Sean.
He does.
Your points are so valid that they can't be disproved.
Yeah, right.
But you can't also disprove some objects having a true attachment to them.
like, for
True.
instance, Robert the doll.
True.
I mean, what is some of the things they say about that doll? It's like, don't look at it in the eye contact. Don't You got to
Asking for
ask
permission before you
permission
take
to,
a photo.
yeah. I feel, like a lot of that is, the energy, like the little boy with the teddy bear. Yeah, that energy is there. Just like antique items, furniture. There's energy there that has lingered, that is still there.
Just like the chair that Abraham Lincoln was sitting in when he was shot and killed in Ford Theater. There's
Yeah.
still blood on that chair, still his blood. There's an energy that's going to remain with an
There's going to
object,
be an
just like
energy.
that.
Yeah, it's imprinted. It's
But
imprinted.
that
into
doesn't
the chair.
mean that the spirit of Abraham Lincoln is attached to that chair. You know what I mean?
True. It's not like you can just put a voice recorder and sit down and talk to Abe.
Yeah. So what's up, Abe?
Right?
How's it
It would
going?
be cool. It would be cool.
Like, I don't know. I'm feeling a little lightheaded. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel a little headache on this side.
Too soon?
Fucking migraine, goddammit.
Somebody hear that noise? No.
But
So-
for me to start collecting these things is because clients, when they're in homes and things like that, I'd rather take it out if that's what puts them back into the bright light, and
Right.
let me deal with this on my terms, because I have ways, I've got connections to take care of it. I'd
Yeah,
rather
this
have
app
it
is
for me
2.0.
and out of hands of kids, because we don't know.
Right.
Right.
We don't
So
have all the answers.
while we were waiting for you, Sean, to
Uh-huh.
hop on the podcast, Lee and I were talking about his buddy's shop, and I'll let Lee talk about this very interesting suitcase that he owns.
Yes.
Suitcase. This is not a doll or a
Yeah.
toy.
It's
This
a
is a
suitcase.
suitcase.
I'm ready.
My buddy, we did the shop, Buckeye Charm, called me up 3 weeks ago. He goes, "Hey man, I got a suitcase that's, I think, made in the 70s. Had it in the shop and sold it to a family. 4 days later, it comes back. Both of them brought it in. They said, we want our money back." And he goes, "Is there something wrong with it?" He goes, "Absolutely." Put it in our spare bedroom. He goes, had the TV on, watching TV. We hear a lot of noise around the suitcase. We go in, turn the light on. We hear a growl come out of this suitcase. There's no kids. There's no dogs. It's just them. Want my money back. He said, "I put it in the garage. We brought it to you today." He gave him his money back. Several days, well, it's like a week and a half later, a woman comes in and buys it. She brings it back the next day. She said, "There is some energy on this." And she goes, "And I do not want it around me." Sitting right behind me. He goes, "I want you to keep it." Okay. He said, "I know you're starting to collect that stuff." I was like, "Yeah, I just want to get it out of people's
Right.
days. If it's really messing with them here, I want it out of there so we can take care of it. I've got dolls, I've got items, but this one was different. I was like, I've never heard of getting rid of a suitcase." So I want to pick John Zaffis's brain a little bit on this. I'm going to reach out to him on this.
Did you say that suitcase is sitting behind you right now?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to see it.
Okay.
You can't talk about it and not have
Well,
it there.
yeah.
Well, the problem is he's got the 3D.
Here, hold on.
thing,
Let me
but-
take that off. Let me get rid of.
I've got a haunted suitcase that growls, and it's right here. Yeah, let me see it.
Yeah, here you go.
All right.
Okay,
God, look at the cup. No, I'm just kidding.
that's 70s right there.
Yeah.
So,
I've got
do you know any history of the suitcase? I mean, does it
yeah.
like Charles Manson's old suitcase or something?
American Tourister is the brand. 71. So we're thinking 71. I talked to my psychic on my team. She's picked up a woman had it that was stabbed by her husband, trying to get away from the abusive relationship. That's the story that I've got. I don't know. Was it a growl? Was it a scream? I don't know.
Has anything happened with the suitcase since you've had it?
Yes. Only one thing. I've had it for now 3 weeks. Come home from work, shower, only one home. Come out of the bedroom. The office, my office here is right outside our room. I hear a woman scream. I'm thinking outside, right? So I look out and I'm like, I don't see nobody. Come in here, temp. You know how you get that feel like something's not right? That's what I got. And I was like, okay. Saturday night, me and my wife and my psychic, she came over. We did an investigation here. Since collecting this stuff, we've had a lot of stuff going on. My wife and her ex-husband had this house built in 2000. Right down the road, about a mile down the road, is an Indian burial ground. So we think this land is part of that.
Yeah.
My stepson at 2 years old would always come into their room at night, screaming, crying. And he described what he saw in his closet. It was a human figure that looked like a cat, but it had antlers, had long nails and hands.
Wow.
Looked it up. It's called Wendigo.
Wendigo, yeah.
Wendigos
Yep.
feed off of that. They want you because I was reading up, I know they came back in folklore time. They're big in the United States. It's a strong, scary creature.
It's a Native
people-
American creature. He was
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we investigated the house. I did it live on TikTok. I didn't want to put it on Facebook, and made a video about the Wendigo. We opened up the second session. We opened up the suitcase. I still gotta go over everything because I videoed and then I did some digital. So I don't know. I know
So-
my son, he's home this summer, and he's at his dad's tonight, and he's studying, getting his master's degree in Austria, and he's here for the summer to build his bank account, working for his uncle doing landscaping. And he told us a few weeks ago, he goes, yeah, he says, I'm still scared when I come to stay. He goes, I still, at 2 years old, now I'm 25. He says, I still feel like when I'm in there that the first thing I want to do is look at my closet.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So our friend Teresa, that's on my team, that's psychic, she actually got a hold of a shaman, and he said that to burn cedar in his closet. And he's going to call him when we do it so he can do this like
Right.
prayer.
Yep.
Yes. So we're going to do that. See what happens.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I was laughing earlier because I had this visual in my head of Nick holding the suitcase and chasing us around, going rah, opening up this.
Opening it up like this,
Yeah,
like Jimmy Irvin's chair. But here's one of my pride. This is one of my favorites.
Ooh, creepy. Well, not really.
Who's that lovely doll?
This one right here, her name is Liza Jane,
Liza Jane.
1922.
Porcelain.
Yep, porcelain feet up to the knees, porcelain hands, neck, and head.
Pretty doll.
This is the one that I was telling Nick before we got started. My wife, I was watching the CMA Awards. She's not a big country person. She's like, I'm going up and reading. She goes upstairs, and she goes into our bedroom, turns our light on, and she just texted me, and she described what she saw. A girl looked just like this, and I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like our doll, but she was like 5 foot tall. She turned, looked at my wife, and she shot in between my wife's nightstand and the bed and went under the bed. And I'm like, shit. So I come running up. The first thing I thought of before I came up here is I'm going to check her. She was turned and she was laying like this, not up.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we investigated in our room for an hour. It was creepy.
That was got
So where did you get Eliza Jane, and how did you figure out the name for her and the little girl?
The story
confirm-
behind her.
Yeah, to confirm that there's an attachment to it.
The people that sold it to me
Okay.
told me the name. It was all, they didn't want it.
Yeah.
So
Have you put her in the suitcase?
no, I think I should do an investigation on that, right? And put it in that closet.
Well, I don't know. The closet sounds kind of creepy, but
I
Yeah,
don't
they've
know,
got-
man. I send me a link. I want to watch this ceremony you're gonna do with this Wendigo.
Yeah, I want to do it here soon this week. Since he's
Wendigos,
still here,
Wendigos will kill people, right?
yes, they will. They feed
Oh.
off of. They feed off of. They want you to become fearless, but they build you up and then they break you down,
Right.
and then they kill you. Then they say that, and then some things they say that you get so fascinated with it that you talk to it like a friend and you become one.
Yeah.
I mean, it just some of the tales of those, and I'm like, and I'm looking up pictures of these things and doing all kinds of research, and I'm like, man, this is some weird stuff. This is outside of my norm, coming out of my own house.
So this leads me to I'm huge advocate on people's mental health. Okay, for
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
But I'm also an advocate that mental health plays into huge role in the paranormal community.
Absolutely.
So if you think about it, a lot of times when we're in our youth, toddler, infant, stages, we are still completely so wide open to everything. Okay. We haven't comprehended of yes and no, this is real, this isn't real, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. You're completely open. So you're more apt to see more spirits and elementals and stuff like that, aka creepy monsters.
Mhm.
Then you grow up to become an adult. Well, some people are not mentally stable as other people. Okay. Those people tend to get more afflicted than somebody that has more mental stability or strength to
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that whole thing. I feel the same way.
So if somebody, now everybody has a different reason of getting into the paranormal.
Yep. Sure
I
do.
have a very fucked up reason. You have a holy,
Yeah.
I don't even want to touch that reason. Some people are just skeptical and just want to dabble into it, but I don't think somebody that is not mentally stable should get into the paranormal field.
I don't either, because I think you're opening yourself up to stuff. Just like, they always say about Ouija boards, you play with them, but you don't know how to close them.
Yeah.
But then when I met Robert Murch, you've heard of him, right?
Yeah.
I met him at Phenomenology 2. He had this whole row of nothing but Ouija boards. And he goes, Lee, you're the one I want to talk to. And I'm like, what? He goes, I saw your website. And I'm like, what? He goes, you got a thing on there that says we do not use Ouija boards. We do not believe in them. He said, come over here. We walked over to the Ghost Hunter store booth, and he goes, but you use this, 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 and this, and this, right? I was like, I sure do. He said, that's the same thing as that Ouija board, but it's digital.
Yep.
Because
100%.
you turn it on, you're asking the same questions, you turn it off. How do you know you're not shutting it down the proper way?
Gee, Nick.
I looked at him, I'm like,
I've heard that from you like 5 billion times.
You have, haven't you, Sean?
But see, I say that there's a difference. See, I have opinions on a lot of things. I'm a little bit different. Like, I don't care for all the fancy schmancy equipment. I'm good with me and my cell phone on an investigation. But Ouija boards, again, it's a tool.
Yep.
But I believe that a Ouija board provides more of a physical and spiritual connection to the communication than a device does.
yeah, you're right.
Crickets.
I agree with you on that.
I disagree.
I don't care what you think. That's my opinion.
If you're holding, no. If you're holding, so the premise behind a Ouija board is you're allowing the spirit to flow his energy through you to your hands, and it moves it.
Exactly.
Same with dowsing rods and pendulums. Okay. It's technically the energy flowing through you. You're allowing the spirits to use your energy to manipulate this device.
Right.
Now, how many times have you held a device, let's say an Ovilus, and it starts reading you? Okay. Or you're holding your digital recorder And you already know with the experiments we did with Brian Kano that you yourself can affect what comes through audible through AKA a digital device.
Yeah, I still don't think I processed that thing that we did with Brian Cano.
So,
And in case you're wondering, what we had an event. We had Brian Cano there, and he does this experiment where he'll have however many people sit around a table. He'll have a voice recorder, and before we start recording, everybody will have one word. And what they do is he'll turn on the voice recorder. Everybody at the same time will think of this word and channel that thought to the recorder. And I think he's 45 out of 46 times now that it's actually worked, and it worked when he did it with us too. We could hear that word on the voice recorder.
You guys didn't know what the other person's word was.
No, it was the same word.
Oh, same
We
word.
all had the same word,
yeah.
and we all just had to think of this word and direct that energy to the voice recorder,
Oh, okay.
and it
So-
worked.
There's 10, let's say there's 10 people sitting at a dining room table.
Yep.
And your code word to think of, not say it, think it, is balls.
Which was
Okay.
actually the word.
That was the word.
That was the word.
So everybody for like a couple minutes is thinking about the word balls. Okay. And then Brian starts an EVP burst session, a minute session, and he's asking questions. I don't think Brian said the word.
Did he say any questions pertain to that word?
I don't think he said any questions, did he?
Or did he just hit record?
I think he just turned the recorder on and had us think of that word for like, I don't know, it was 45 seconds.
Putting it in the atmosphere and trying to get it into that recorder.
Correct.
Right, like directing it to the recorder.
Some kind of energy, yeah.
Yeah. And with
Sort of like Stan Romanek. You guys ever heard of him?
Who's that?
the name.
Stan Romanek. He's been
Why is that?
abducted by aliens. He lives out in Colorado. Haven't heard from him in years. He's got a book out.
I've never heard of
I've
him.
heard the name. but I just-
He was in phenomenology, and we went into his presentation, and he did something similar to that where he had his laptop set up,
Mhm.
and he had it on this big screen, and he had a needle, and he said, I want this side of the room to make that needle move to the right, and I want this side of the room to make that needle focus moving it to the left, like an energy thing, sort of like what
Right.
Brian's
Yep.
doing there.
Mhm.
And it was phenomenal. I was like, holy shit. So we're playing tug of war with this damn needle. I'm like, okay, this is creepy. I was like, okay, I'm getting a little creeped out. But this guy, yeah, he's it was the same thing. But I want to definitely try that. That would be something fun to do with the group.
And try to pick a word that maybe has 2 syllables in it.
Yeah, instead of just one.
Yeah, something more that
Peanut butter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But me and Sean, we butt heads on that situation.
We
I
don't
have,
butt heads. We just have different opinions.
And that's good.
I honestly was a full blown skeptic of the Ouija boards up until about 2 years ago. And we went over to the Barnes and Noble and got one, and the first few sessions, fucking thing never moved.
Didn't do nothing.
And then all of a sudden it started moving. And I'm talking to this guy that I've never met, and he's telling me his whole life story on this damn board. How he's stuck here and this or that. And long story short, I'm moving that guy on.
Where was this at? In your house?
In my house.
Holy shit.
I've had my house cleared twice
Yeah.
before I
This is-
started this whole paranormal journey. So
Yeah, you got to. I tried it. My good friend Bill Bean. You guys heard of him, right?
heard Bill Bean, yeah.
Yeah, good guy. He writes me little prayers that I use in homes. I call him up. I've done one deliverance in Columbus, Ohio, with a family that they're 21-year-olds. He's 21 now, but he dabbled into believing in the devil and all that stuff. And he had a satanic Bible at 14. Guy comes down the steps and he hands me this thing, and I grab it and I'm like, oh damn, I touched it. I didn't want to touch a satanic Bible. I was pissed.
Right.
I said, you got a bag? He gets me a Kroger bag. He puts it in it and I tie it. I walk outside across the street. I put it behind these big electrical boxes. I said, no, it's not today, Satan. You're not playing on my playground. And
That's twice I heard that today.
and just so I had to get him involved. And we did a deliverance for the mom and dad. They were actually going to divorce.
Yeah.
And I don't know what had happened, but Bill, he goes, I called him up. I said, I need your assistance tonight. And he goes, yeah. He says, call me back in 2 minutes. He goes, are they here? And I was like, yeah, it's just the mom and dad. And I explained the story. Beautiful home. I was like, they were like, okay. He says, I want you to go upstairs and I want you to fill the bathtub up with water. And I want you to take the salt, sea salt. And I want to, as you're pouring it, I'm going to pray.
Sure.
We go up, we're doing that. They're standing in the hallway. I didn't know what he was doing. He's just telling me step by step what to do. He goes, I want them to go get shorts or pull their pants up. I want them to step in this water. I want them to face each other. I know they hate each other, but I want them to lock arms.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to put me on speaker and I'm going to pray. And he said, things will happen around that house, Lee, as we're doing this. And I want you, so before we do that, I want to do a prayer for you and your team and the husband and wife. And let's get started. Oh my God, dude, that was amazing. Some of the shit we were getting downstairs, I was like, I was a little terrified because I've never experienced anything like this. I'm like, shit, calm, collective, He says, let's go outside. So it was me and my wife and my two buddies. We went outside. And he's like, I want you to be 100% guards up. He said, because there is some energy in there that we're going to get rid of tonight. And it was amazing. And I told him about the Bible and he goes, leave it over there. Don't even bring it back up. If they want it, let them go find it. So they tried to call their son to come over because Bill wanted to talk to him. The mother was talking and she hung up and she said, I didn't even get to the point of coming over here, but he knew right away that there was someone there wanting to talk to him. And he says, not today. And that was it. Hung up on her.
Wow.
So I'm like, what? So, I mean, you never know what you're going to walk into.
Yep.
You never know until bam, it's right there in your face.
And it's mind-blowing, eye-opening.
Yes.
It's life-changing. Not only life-changing for you and your team, but the people that you're helping. It's just the shit's real. People are affected every day. People are scared of it. I had a buddy of mine that he's another flooring contractor, and he come up to me at one of the shops the other day, and he goes, I know you're into the paranormal, little Mexican dude. He's like, I got a buddy. They were getting affected so bad that they just hurry up and packed and moved out and moved somewhere else. And he said now that they're starting to be affected in this new place. And I told Javier, I said, dude, that's what I do. Just have him call me.
It's not the building, it's them. It's follow them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely, brother. You've got some stories. We can go on forever.
Oh, I could.
We've run into some people on doing this podcast that are just so genuine, so knowledgeable, been around the block that we'll definitely want to have you back on the podcast.
Absolutely, would love to.
But next time let's pick a topic and let's just dive fucking deep down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And I want to invite you guys over to one of our cool places that we're starting to do some investigations in. It's here in Middletown. Windermere, an old bank. The old bank sits where the actual first log cabin, the founder of Middletown, Stephen Bell, lived, right beside the river. It's where the history of Middletown began.
You just let me know, brother.
Absolutely.
I'll get in my truck and head your way.
How far are you from us?
We're in Fort Wayne.
Okay, so we were just up there.
2 hours 43 minutes.
Yep, exactly. We were just in Huntington.
Yeah.
Me and the wife and Jim 2 weeks ago up at
Teresa's
another
place, right?
yeah, Teresa's place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another
Cra-
Taps family, Indiana
Yeah.
Taps.
Yeah, crazy activity in that place.
It's crazy that a family from California moves to Indiana and buys an old Mason's Hall and turns it into their home.
And turns it into their home. and then the husband does not believe in it. I was like, what? He goes, no, this is not my cup of tea. He said, that's all her. And I was like, hey, I totally get it. My wife crochets. I don't do it.
Right. All right, buddy. We're going to lead next to the two most interesting questions that we ask everybody
Sure.
on our Old World Paranormal podcast. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. First question. Tell us something interesting or, I don't know, fascinating about you that most people don't know.
Oh, man. Well, something fascinating to me is my last name's Allen. So my dad's a bluegrass star. He played with, if you know bluegrass, you know Ralph Stanley, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" As soon as I say that, my dad actually wrote that song.
No shit.
Yeah. My dad wrote a lot of songs. He played for Ralph Stanley and the Stanley Brothers from the 60s up to 90s. He's Pretty Polly. A lot of these old songs my dad wrote.
So that song was not written just for the movie. That was an actual.
It was an actual song. Yeah.
Oh.
Talking to my dad about 2 years ago, my dad's 76, and he goes, you're going to start getting my royalty checks. And I'm like, what the hell's a royalty check? He goes, all the songs that I wrote for Ralph Stanley. He goes, and now since he's dead, it's a lot of money. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. He says, I'm putting them all in your name.
Huh.
So that's a fascinating thing. My dad, I got a guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sing, but I don't know how to play.
That's pretty cool, brother. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Yeah. So that's my dad. His name's Lee Allen, and Lee Allen II. He lives in Wolf County, Kentucky. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Still plays his banjo and his mandolin and his Martin D28, and just
retired and living his best life, right?
I tell him all the time, I said, Dad, you look just like Donald Trump, and he does.
No shit.
And, now back then, the old days, Kentucky was pure Democrat.
Yeah.
He called me up one time right when Donald Trump was president. He goes, you know what I'm going to go do? I was like, what? He says, I'm going to go down and vote Republican. I said, it's about damn time you woke up. He goes, no, he says, you're not getting this. He says, I'm going to tell you why. He says, I can't let a Democrat die. I was like, oh my God. That's him. He's something else.
That's funny. All right. Question 2. You ready?
Yeah.
You got one night, one investigation. You only allowed 3 pieces of equipment. What you taking?
Okay. I'm going to set up. I want my camera. I want a digital recorder, and I want an analog recorder. That's all I need.
And yourself.
And myself. And let's go to Alcatraz.
Alcatraz?
By myself. Heck yeah, man.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's on the list.
I want to go there so bad. Like, yes. Because when I get in tuned, man, with this stuff, I just want to go off on my own. As long as I got a camera, something I can verify it's here, but I just get so into it, man. I just want to keep going. I don't want to stop.
That's awesome, man. You still got the passion and the love for it, for being in it so long. That's great to see, man. That's awesome.
Just love helping everybody else, man. It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about people that we've lost, and it's about people that's going through it today. So it's not about me.
Amen.
A little louder for those in the back.
Right.
I appreciate you guys for having me. It was great meeting you guys. And
well, take a couple minutes if you want to plug away anything you got going on, Lee.
Yeah. Well, We have our ghost class coming up in September at Waynesville Friends Home Museum. You can find us on Facebook at Paravisions Paranormal Society. We also have a YouTube channel. We also have a TikTok and an Instagram, Paravisions Paranormal Society. And we put all of our events out there on that. We do live investigations on TikTok because I like getting people that's just curious of paranormal and they chime in
Yep.
and they're there through the night. They're like, oh my God, what's that? And we're explaining the equipment. So just like you said, you always want to go back and I want to share, I want to put something out there before I leave this earth, and if it's
Yeah.
helping somebody that's the young kids or whatever it is, at least I've done something. So
Yeah, TikTok's interesting, man. You got a mix of everybody on there.
you do, and you gotta. And then the other night when we were doing the house, I had no moderator to help me, but TikTok, they have moderators that came in and was like pushing away all the negativity. I was watching it on my phone. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, hey, I'm here to help you. And I'm like, sweet. It's like,
So,
okay.
I mean, it's crazy. We hopped on 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning at Waverly TikTok, and the amount of people watching, I'm like, holy shit.
Nuts, isn't it?
Like, it's crazy. Like, you
Within
think,
seconds.
yeah,
Like,
within seconds,
crazy.
you would think, okay, 1:32 in the morning, we'd
People
be
are in
lucky to
bed.
get some people to watch because the people that would be interesting, they're out investigating on their own stuff.
Exactly.
So,
I had people Saturday night, well, because you were at Waverly, because when I chimed in on your thing when you guys were sitting in your car at the Mexican restaurant, I was like, we're getting ready to go live too. And I was like, this is the crazy thing, because this guy goes, hey man, I just got home from the bar. This is so intriguing. Let me go get some popcorn. I'll be back. He said he laid his phone down. I was like, oh my God. So you just get random people on TikTok.
I always ask them too. I'm like, because you'll see their name, and I'm like, and if I catch it, I'm like, okay, where are you from? Where
Yeah.
And I was talking to one lady, and she was like, because Gabby was TikTok live, I was Facebook live, and I was talking to one lady, and she's like, I like this stuff. I've only been on one investigation. I said, okay, well, where you at? Maybe I can help you out. And she's down in Dallas, Texas, and the first person in Texas I thought of was Dan LaFar, the
There you
Old
go.
Park Hotel, and I'm like, there's plenty of places. Just go, have fun.
Just go out, just get in your car and do haunted highways, man. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, brother, it's been a blast.
Appreciate you guys. It's been awesome. It's been a great time. Enjoyed it.
Definitely look to getting together and work on a project or an investigation sometime, and definitely have you back on. Let's like I said, next time, like we've had Michelle Belanger on.
Yeah, great girl.
We'll talk about everything, and then the second time we came on, we were like, you pick a topic.
Yeah.
She picked vampires, and I'm like, and I looked at Sean, and I'm like,
oh wow.
Okay, how are we going to talk an hour and a half about vampires? But I tell you what, the time flew by, and that was very fucking interesting.
It is. It's like something, because you're opening up. Somebody's sharing something that's like, wow, it's intriguing.
Right.
Like aliens, or hearing stories and hearing evidence, and not just what people, but FBI, CIA, whatever. Just like, wow. I'm all about it.
All right, Sean, we'll take us out on the podcast, and let you plug in a little bit about a video that was released today.
Yeah, definitely. I have to I have to find what the actual name of it was here. Give me just a second. What was it called? Oh yeah. So for those of you that follow us on the podcast, you know that Nick and I spent several days out in Gettysburg, and we investigated one location, same location every day for a few days. The very last day that we were there, we had the pleasure of being with Sean Austin. I invited him along, and he came out with us. And that day became one of the most important days to me as a paranormal investigator. Life-changing experience for all of us that were there. The video of that, taken from Sean Austin's TikTok, from our videos that we had, has finally all been put together by Mike Angus of Southern Heat Paranormal. It is available now on YouTube, currently on their channel. So if you go to Southern Heat Paranormal on YouTube. It should be the newest video in their lineup, and it is called Saving a Battlefield. So if you get the opportunity, check it out, and you definitely want to stay until the end, because that's the part that really had an impact on all of us. So much so that even today, I was trying to tell somebody the story, and I literally get to the end of the story, and I cannot get out the end of the story without crying my eyes out. It's
Oh,
yeah, it's absolutely wild. But it's up, it's ready for you to view. I haven't checked on it today to see how many people have looked at it, but if you have an hour and 40 minutes or so to spare before you hit
Yeah,
the day tonight,
it's a longer video than most, but it'll be worth it.
definitely worth it. So yeah. So yeah, that brings us to the end of episode 65, 3/4 of
75.
the way to 75, whatever hell it is. 3/4 of the way to 100. And
there
we've
you
had a
go,
great
man.
time tonight with Lee Allen, that's for sure.
I've had a blast. I appreciate you guys.
Coming up August 12th, Hannah House, Indianapolis area. Come down if you're in that area. We will be at the Hannah House convention.
Well, you guys may see me because I'm going to show up.
All right. We look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you then.
Amen.
All right. We're out of here. Till next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
See you guys.
everybody.